Hello lovely people, how are you all doing today? I hope you are well. I'm wrapped up well this afternoon, that's for sure. It's quite chilly, it's massively clouded over, which is such a shame because this morning we had an hour of sunshine, which made it perfect for something I had to do, but more of that later. Right, let's start with, on the subject of weather. I can't wait to share this with you and I hope you'll indulge me. I have my little book of tide tables, as you saw me with last year. I bought, it comes out every year, and I bought the tide tables for 2025. I'm having to remember which year we're in. I bought them in October 2024 after I'd put my offer in for the cottage by the sea. It was my way of trying to make it happen, and it did. Anyway, when I get my copy of the tide tables, and you see I've done it, well, there we go, that's March. I highlight the spring tides. So there's the full moon spring tide and there's the new moon spring tide. And those are the tides where our high water mark is at its highest. Obviously I have the tide tables anyway, depending on where I want to walk to think, is the tide low enough for me to walk that way around, etc, etc. Anyway, I had an appointment on Wednesday. I had to go to the doctor's to get some repeat bloods done. More of that as and when results, and my bloods are a bit messy. So my appointment was at 10:10. And I checked the tide tables, so I knew that high tide was due around about 10 o'clock. And this is a new moon spring tide, so it's going to be a really high tide. But also, because I watch the weather like a hawk, I knew that we were due some southeasterly onshore, pretty strong winds gusting at 50 miles an hour. And I thought, oh, there's bound to be some good waves. So my appointment being at 10:10, I thought, I'm going out early. I'm going to go out at 9 o'clock, see what I can see by the sea. So something I've been trying to do a little bit more this year. It's easy when it's the summer. I was doing it all the time in summer, but it gets less in winter, is I try to go out every day. And sometimes it's just to the post office, which, you know, it's not very far. So what I've been trying to do this year is say, right, I go out, but go out for at least half an hour and try to walk as quickly as my little legs will carry me. Not very quickly these days, but try to go for a brisk walk. And, you know, I live right next to the sea. Enjoy the sea every day as much as possible. So that's what I've been doing. So on this particular morning, I took my camera with me. I was out for about an hour, then I went quickly and had my blood appointment, came back down to the beach, spent another hour on the beach and around the area. Oh, I loved it. I shot a ton of footage. I got home, I had an hour and a half's worth of footage in the camera. And that's what I hope you'll indulge me with in a moment. I'm going to show you some shots. The thing is, sometimes one might kind of roll the film for 5 minutes and there's a lull just waiting for that kind of perfect wave. So anyway, sorry, I'm just reaching down. I've made myself a hot chocolate because it really is getting chilly this afternoon. Yes, I hope you'll enjoy this next bit, a few minutes of the sea on a new moon, spring tide, with a very stiff southeasterly gusting at 50 miles an hour. It's the perfect combo. Actually, the most perfect combo would be an easterly rather than a southeasterly, but you'll see. I hope you find this dynamic, soul-touching, mesmerising as I do. And if nothing else, I hope you find it relaxing, a few minutes of relaxation. And you can relax, please, by knowing that I was always safe. Right from, I mean, as young as I can remember, probably just about when I was starting to walk, my grandparents drilled into us to have respect for the sea, to be safe by the sea. So please don't worry about me in any of this next bit of footage. I was always safe. So yes, roll VT, a little bit of gorgeousness of winter at the seaside. enjoyed that. Now, as it happens, this morning, which is now 2 days later, even strong. Well, I don't know if the wind was stronger, it was just slightly more east-southeast, but the waves were even bigger. I'd say about twice the size. And the sun came out, so it was gorgeous. I didn't have my camera with me though. I'm kicking myself because the sun was out, so the white as the waves are breaking is so brilliant white. As I say, the waves were huge. I had another appointment this morning, which I'll come to in a second, and I hadn't been planning to stay out very long, but I ended up sitting in one of the beach shelters. I actually rang our Paul so he could hear the sea, and huge. The Molan was getting battered, just screams and screams of people getting wet. It was so cute. And when I got up to go, I sort of turned back to look, and by then a crowd of about 50 people were there, all filming, taking photos. It was stunning. I'm so happy to make the most of living by the sea. Now, coincidentally, I've been reading a fantastic book. I am, I think, 2/3 of the way through. I'm probably going to gobble this up tonight. I bought it for the shop, and then I thought, I've had it in the shop before. My shop, that is. My shop. Details are always in the more bit below a video title. Yeah, so I found this again. I was going to put it in the shop, and I thought, no, I need to read this. Come on. So it's called How to Read Water by Tristan Gooley. I've got another of his in the shop. Hold on a sec. It's called The Natural Navigator. The Art of Reading Nature's Signposts. So this is what this guy does. He immerses himself in nature, in the outdoor world, and reads the signs that nature gives us. So this one is specifically about water. I mean, it starts as basic as just looking at water in a glass, in a clear glass, but then observing water in puddles, rivers, streams, lakes. I've just got to the bit where we're at sea now, so reading the waves and what we can learn from them. It's utterly fascinating, and it's just, I've been squealing a little bit reading it, because it's things which we take so much for granted, a puddle. But he's explaining to us what we can discern if we look at it more closely. So for instance, a puddle, a farm track, there's puddles on one side, not the other. What does that tell us? So he's looking at what we might think of as being really quite mundane things, looking across a stretch of the river, but all the details, all the different movements of the water, why are those movements there, how we can see them, how we can read them, what we can tell from them. So yeah, quite mundane. It's not that it's mundane stuff, I think it's just stuff that we take for granted, in the same way that we look up and go, oh, what a blue sky. Take it for granted, the sky is blue when there are no clouds. We look up and go, oh, it's a cloudy day. But, the formation of how is that water in the clouds being formed as opposed to water that's in the sea? Oh, it's brilliant. I'm loving it. There's a sentence right at the beginning. The anthropologist Lauren Isley once opined, if there is magic on this planet, it is contained within water. Ain't it just? Each chapter, he gives us experiments that we can do for ourselves. So, some of them are experiments I remember doing as a kid. The one with a piece of blotting paper and a needle, a sewing needle on the top. You put it on the top of a glass of water. The blotting paper eventually gets saturated and sinks, but the needle floats. And as a kid, I was my mind boggled. How can a needle float on water? It's metal. But of course, it's an experiment we do as kids to understand, or to begin to understand, something about surface tension of water. So that's how the book starts, and it continues. He's just mentioned a way of measuring a kind of a guesstimate for the height of waves using just ourselves looking out to the horizon. I made a note. I was reading that bit last night. How to estimate the height of waves. Can't wait to try this one. I didn't today. I wanted to do it this morning, but you need to be able to stand on a beach to do it. But the high tide today was so high, it was actually lapping up. So for those of you who know Swanage, you think of Shore Road. Imagine you're at the Molam and then you start that lovely long promenade along the front. The water was up and over. So I couldn't actually stand on the beach to do the experiment. But yeah, he shines this wonderful, bright, detailed light on things that we utterly take for granted. Explains the science of it in a way that is completely comprehensible. I mean, it's info dense, this book, so I might have to read it again. But yes, it's the Outdoor Swimming Society, say, on the back. He writes with passion, humour and clarity, and engages so deeply with the tributaries of inquiry that reading it feels as exhilarating as being towed by a dolphin. I quite agree. All the time I've been reading it, because I read at night, I've been so excited to get down to the sea the next day. Yay! Good stuff, good stuff. Now, this morning, hang on, let's have a slurp of the chocolate. My hands, I need to go and put my hand warmers on. I mean, it's not cold. Ooh, it's not frigid cold. It's chilly. The wind is howling again. I think we've got gusts of, the forecast said gusts of 47 miles an hour. So it feels like they might be stronger than that again. So it's that gusting wind combined with the damp. Chilly. I don't care when I'm outside. When I spoke to Paul earlier, I told him I just seem to have wet clothes, hanging to dry all the time at the moment because, walking when it's raining, but also standing in the splash zone. I love it. I love being splashed. Right. So this morning, my reason for going out, and it should have been probably a 10-minute going out, but I stretched it, trying to walk a bit more, but then also because I wanted to go to the beach, was because, oh my goodness, this is so long overdue. I've been to the optician. I hadn't been to the optician for, I think, it's 11 years. It might be 12. Which is too long. It's too long. I don't recommend it. I recommend, especially if you wear spectacles, you go more regularly, but never even mind the glasses. Go more regularly for your eye exam to check on your eye health. But it's just, for me, it's been one of those things, I couldn't afford it, it's too much, so I've been saving. So I've been saving for about 3 years, just a couple of quid each week to put away. And I thought, right now, I think I'd saved something like, it was about £290 in my optician fund, and I thought that'll be plenty. Wasn't quite enough, but that's okay. So at the beginning of the week, I went for my eye exam, and I've got to say the opticians here are, all the staff, absolutely wonderful. So the ophthalmologist himself, I always get a bit muddled up with the nomenclature, but the chap who did my eye exam, really lovely, funny, chatty, hair was whack, 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 whack. Just, it was so unhurried. It was absolutely lovely. We were chatting about anatomy and physiology of the eye, because it's not a part of the body that I've ever really studied. It just wasn't on my horizon for the kind of nursing I was doing with the kids. But yeah, learning more about my own eyes and eyes in general, fab. Now, I did explain to him, it's been a while. So one of the first things he did, take my glasses, and then he can put them in his machine to look through them to see what my prescription was 12 years ago. And I was saying, you know, they're quite scratched, they're in a bit of a bad way, and, you know, finally it's time. He said, I can hardly tell your prescription, they're so bad. I was like, yeah, I know, sorry. Anyway, so I put my glasses back on and I look at the letters, you know, the list of letters. Oh no, first of all, I did it without my glasses on. And I think I read the first 3 rows without my glasses. Pop my glasses on, there we go. I can read now 2 more lines of letters. Yay, that's with my glasses on. Take my glasses off, and then he put on that, you know, the kind of, I've got a cup in my hand. I need to get a coffee table for here. I don't need to. You know, the kind of frame that goes on, and the optician puts in all sorts of different lenses, and try this and try that and cover this. So it's like a frame. It's like glasses frames. You know what I'm talking about. So he put the frame on and put all sorts of different lenses in. And said, right, now read. And it's like, whoa, I could read an extra 2 lines. So now I'm up to about 7 lines. Yay! And he laughed at me. He said the lenses he'd put into that frame were the exact same prescription as was in my glasses. But my glasses were so scratched, it was blurring everything. He said, it's like you've been going around with cataracts because your glasses were so bad. Anyway, the great news is, so we did the full exam. Oh, and apparently for my next exam, by the time the next exam comes around, it'll be free because I'll have reached the age of 60. I'll get a free eye exam, but that's in the future. My right eye hasn't changed at all. My left eye has barely changed. It's almost imperceptible. In fact, we kept trying, going better, and I just, in the end, I said, I really don't know. I'm really hardly seeing any difference. So he's just tweaked my prescription up a little bit in case it does degenerate. But anyway, essentially 12 years later, there's virtually no change, and most importantly, so that's the spectacles bit of the exam. Now we go on to the health bit, you know, the pressure. I know none of us like that, the of air into your eyeball, and then the deep look into the eye. He said they are remarkably healthy, really tip-top eyeballs. I've got tip-top eyeballs, yay! So my eye health is excellent. It's all the veggies I eat. It's all those carrots I eat. And my prescription has hardly changed, but obviously I did need to get new glasses. So this is where the eek bit came in. I don't get any help, NHS help. I applied for it once, but the HC1 form, I did apply for help with costs like prescription, dentist, optician, but because I was earning £401 a month, I don't get any help. I'm deemed to be, that's it, you don't get any help on 400 quid a month. My pay has gone up a little bit, but not much, but it's like, yeah, by the time I've paid bills and bought food, I have no money. Well, very little. Anyway, never mind. So I've had to pay, but like I said, I'd saved up 290 quid. So my glasses, the lenses, and most importantly, my examination, my eye exam, it came to 350 quid. But if you spread that over 10 years, so I need to do my nose, it's only 35 quid a year. I'm joking, I'm not going to leave it 10 years. Well, I certainly won't leave my eye test that long. I'll try and do my eye test every 3 or 4 years. I'll try and make the glasses last. I'll show you them in a sec. But in the meantime, I'll just keep putting 2 quid away every week for the next one. So here's my new specs. I know I can't see you because you're so close. Not too dissimilar, slightly squarer on top. The only thing I'm a bit like, look at the sides. I've got to take them off because I can't see you. But I always like the sort of the faux tortoiseshell. It suits my colouring. You know, in winter when I'm pale, it's okay. In the summer when I'm tanned, it works. But then the arms. It's like, why are they a different colour? But never mind, these are my favourite colours anyway, blues, and I don't mind a little bit of dusky pink. So, yeah, there we go. New specs. Look after them. Keep them in the case. They gave me a free bottle of a cleaning fluid to use with the soft cloth, and he said anytime that fluid runs out, I can go back to them for a free refill. So there's not even going to be any waste, which is brilliant. But yeah, a big shout out to all the staff at Frith's Opticians in Swanage, the actual optician himself, reception staff, manager, everyone's lovely. And what a great excuse to be going out in the morning to look at the sea. Yay! Oh, that's right temperature now. Right, oh my goodness. It's, drop it. I've got a ton of props. I'm not going to get through all these. Let me have another gulp. I'm looking forward to editing this because I can look at all the sea footage again. The footage that you will have seen by now. Like I said, there was masses and masses and masses of it, just rolling film. Ah, lovely moment of a wave. It took hours to edit down to that little bit, so I shall enjoy watching it again when I edit this whole thing together. But never mind that. Talking of editing, some films. I'll rattle through these because I don't want to keep you too long today. But thank you to Moon Spinners who sent, let's get the shine off it, North by Northwest. It's another Alfred Hitchcock. It's another Cary Grant. And she sent this one after I'd talked about the fact that I bought To Catch a Thief as part of my treats for a tenner. Oh my goodness, it's brilliant. Now, rather like Psycho, which I watched last year for the first time ever, as in all the way through, there were tons of bits of Psycho I've seen over and over again in clips shows or documentaries about filmmaking. They'll often show a bit of Psycho. Likewise, there are two scenes in this one. Well, the crop dusting aeroplane and the one on Mount Rushmore. There we go, that's them on Mount Rushmore. So I'd seen those two clips a number of times over the years, but had no idea for the context of them. It's brilliant! Now this one is much more suspenseful than To Catch a Thief. Remember I was saying with To Catch a Thief, it's not really that usual Hitchcock suspense. This one, much more so. It's a case of mistaken identity, and Mr. Grant, he's got to go on the run, both A, to evade the law, the coppers, and B, to not get killed by someone else. I won't say too much. Straight away, the musical score is a sublime. And again, I hadn't realised, but I knew quite a bit of the music from the film. It has these great symphonic sweeping passages which are, they're so rousing. And then other moments where it's that sort of from Psycho, that's not in here, but that kind of a single string being plucked or played on a violin that just mounts that tension brilliantly. Yeah, loved it, absolutely loved it. What else did I say? There's some lovely shots in it as well, I thought, yeah, this is so clever. Mr. Hitchcock, so clever. This was 1959. There are shots, and it's quite towards the beginning, so it really helps to set the scene of Cary Grant's character. He's kind of Mr. Nobody, Mr. Ordinary, Mr. Man in the Street, if you like. And this really clever shot making where there's a scene when he's coming out of an office building, but the shot is from way, way, way high up on this sort of office block. So that when he comes out, he's like this little tiny ant moving amongst all the other ants. And it immediately sort of it sort of signals to us he's just one of anybody. It could have been anybody. It could be you, it could be me. Some shots are really, 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 a really, really long shot. So again, he's small. it's the perfect sort of visual interpretation of the psychology of him being just an ordinary guy caught up in an extraordinary situation. So yeah, bravo. Well, it's Hitchcock, isn't it? He doesn't need my bravo. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm so glad to have finally seen it and been able to put those two really famous scenes into context, and that music, literally from the opening credits, that score kicks in and we know, oh, this is going to be a thrilling ride. Brilliant, brilliant. I mean, it's of its time still. Again, rubbish kissing. So it is of its time. It's not like a thriller you would see today. I don't watch modern thrillers. What would be something similar? I don't know. Is Bourne Identity that sort of thing? I don't know. And then on to something completely different. Oh my goodness. So this is a book I first read when I was probably about 10 or 11, read again when I was 13 or 14, read again when I was in my 20s, but I've never seen the film. Did I write down the date? No, I don't think I did. Oh, hang on, 60... I think the film was made in 1968. Yeah, I won't say any more yet. I watched Kes. I always called it Kes, but he calls the bird Kes. So it's Ken Loach, of course. It's Ken Loach. What? Oh my goodness! What an amazing film. So this is British cinema at its best. At one kind of its best. This kind of super dingy realism. It's sort of off the back of what became known as kitchen sink drama, which really came out of the 1950s, out of the Royal Court Theatre. So playwrights John Osborne with Look Back in Anger, Sheila Delaney with A Taste of Honey, which some of you would have done for O-level English literature back in the 80s. So it's this sort of, it's an incredibly poor area. I think is he Barnsley in West Yorkshire. Working class family, no dad. So I just think no dad, poor, pretty run down, grim part of the town that he lives in. I'm painting it out, it sounds all hopeless, but it's the beauty of this lad who, I mean, he can't get on at school. He's not an academic kid. The school bits in it just made me smile so much, because even though I was at school sort of 10 years later, it just reminded me of school so much. Assembly, with singing hymns in assembly. Just these lads being daft, absolute daft apaths, acting like idiots at school all the time, always in trouble, always having to turn their pockets out. The noises of school, the chairs scraping on the floor when it's end of lessons, standing outside in the playground when it's frigid cold and you're made to play out but you don't want to play because it's so cold, sneaking a fag behind the science blocks, brilliant. But ultimately, let's come to the main thing, is, you know, he's a bit on his own. It's, you know, he's poorer than everyone else and he gets picked on a bit for that, but he goofs it off. He can, you know, he's a bit of a clown in order to get away with things. But it's a pretty tough life he's having. But he's fascinated by birds of prey. And, I mean, literally on the edge of town, it's countryside, and he manages to get himself a baby kestrel, which he trains, and he can barely read and write, this kid, but he nicks a book about training a bird of prey, and just about manages to squeeze out enough reading that he can read the book, and he learns to train this kestrel, and he and this kestrel just have this beautiful, simple relationship. It makes him happy. It makes him, I'm going to cry because I know the ending. It just makes him so happy that he's got this one thing that he can do, that he's good at, that makes him feel good. I'm sure most of you know the story. I'm not going to give the ending away for those who haven't seen it, but yeah, it's a it's a really sad ending. It's a bleak time, you know. It's late 60s into the 70s Britain. Still, I mean, I suppose the country's still recovering from the deficits created by the war. But yeah, he doesn't live in a particularly rich town. Really poor family. It's pretty grim and grimy, but this at the centre of it all is just so beautiful and heartwarming. And all the daftness at school with him and his mates just being absolute idiots at school. It's beautiful. I highly recommend it. If you've never watched it, if you've never got round to it yet, if you're like me, I'm going to wrap up, I just saw the clock. If, like me, you've never watched it and you kind of just assume, oh, I know Cares, yeah, I know Cares, watch it. It's well worth it. Right, I've got loads more, but I'm going to just finish today with a book that was a Christmas present from Barbara. Do you remember? Oak and Ash and Thorn by Peter Fiennes. And this is all about our quickly diminishing woods and forests. What does it say? The magic and mystery of the woods are embedded in culture, from ancient folklore to modern literature. They offer us refuge, a place to play, a place to think. But we're losing them. So this book, immersing himself in the beauty of woodland Britain, Peter Fiennes explores our long relationship with the woods and the sad and violent story of how so many have been lost. Just as we need them, our woods need us too. But who, if anyone, is going to look out for them? So it's quite a scopy, wide-ranging book in that, yes, it's about the woods, but it's the history of Britain, really. Our social history, industrial history, and it's sort of charting why we've lost so much of our woods. What have we been using? Why have we been cutting down these woods? What have we been using it for? So there are those obvious moments in history when we've needed to build, warships, and a warship could take, I think it's something phenomenal, like 600 oak trees to build one warship. So there's that side of things, but throughout the book he's going to different woodlands. So yes, it's the history, but also it's our natural history. So it's him having a walk in a wood and observing, and through his eyes we get to see the woods that he's walking in. And that's just gorgeous. It's so immersive and wonderful. Just to say, it took me about 30 or 40 pages to get into this, and I'm glad I stuck with it because I really liked it by the end. I don't know if I struggled to get into it just because, based on the back of what had I read before it. I've been reading about the Iditarod. I've just read another book about the vet on the Iditarod. It's down here. I think I'd chat about it today, though, just because I'm not sure it's going to interest anyone, because it's pretty specialist. It's all about the dogs on the Iditarod. Loved it. So yeah, it took me a little while to get into. So his style is very easy breezy. It's sort of almost memoir, journalistic. We get a few of his memories from when he was younger. But essentially it's him out and about in our woods telling us about individual trees, how they look, what diseases have affected them, how we've used them historically. There's a bit, of course, about Robin Hood. Let me not forget anything. There's a chapter on sort of magic and superstition. That was really fascinating. There's lots of bits of literature and poetry quoted throughout. We are a nation which we love our trees, but we're losing so many of them. Scary woods as well. I'm thinking about fairy tales and how scary woods can be. I loved that bit. But there is, so ultimately it's a history of how we've used and abused our woods and where we're at today and what hope is there and what things are being done. And there's a lovely section at the back organisations to get involved with, to get in touch with. There's a little checklist. He does a checklist of what any of us could do to help save things. Why have I made notes inside? Let me see. Oh yes, I know what this one is. He's talking about, who's going to look after our woods if we don't? What will it take for us to look after? And in a way, this is a global question of not just our woods, but our whole countryside and green spaces. And he says, put it this way, if you live in a place, are you more likely to cherish it? Therefore, look after it. How close to somewhere do you have to live before you feel inclined to look after it? Is it your home? Is it the next street? Is it the local neighbourhood? Is it the closest field or valley? Is it a county? Is it a country? A planet? Or do you just take what you want and move on? And so this is the theme throughout, and it's quite, it's quite a sombre theme of how, and this isn't just about the UK, but we are destroying forests and woods. We are basically destroying this planet that we rely on to live on, and we urgently, we have to do something. We have to change our ways. We're getting to the point where it will be too late. So that runs throughout, and it's, like I said, it's sobering. It is sobering, but there's enough optimism and beauty throughout the rest of the book to make it a really lovely read. It's not, and it's not some great political rant. It's not that at all. It is a really lovely book. What was this? Oh no, that's a bit technical. I'll see if this one last market that I've done. Oh yeah, I loved this. I love this. This was there's a chapter called Blood in the Forest, and that's about our sort of almost innate fear of going into the dark forest, especially at night. And he actually quotes Coleridge to make the point of that thing of going into woods. There's something in us all which has that thing of, oh, is there someone behind me? Did I hear a branch snap, a twig snap? Am I on my own? What is it? So this bit of Coleridge does it perfectly. It's from the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Excuse my reading. Like one that on a lonely road doth walk in fear and dread, and having once turned round, walks on, and turns no more his head, because he knows a frightful fiend doth close behind him as he tread. Oh, it's brilliant. That gives me goosebumps. Sorry, I've read it really badly. Sight reading. Yeah, it's quite eclectic. For a book that's pretty much basically about woods and forests, it's quite eclectic. And yeah, I stuck with it, thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Barbara. The minute I unwrapped it on Christmas Day, I thought, oh, this is going to be great for me, and it absolutely was. So I'm going to wrap up now, because otherwise, yeah, that's going to be a really long one again, meant to have a quick chatty one. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. There were a couple, I've just read an absolute corking book, which is such a surprise to me that I even picked it up. I can't wait to bring that one to you. But in the meantime, Oak and Ash and Thorn by Peter Fiennes, brilliant, loved it. Get it from your library. So far so good with Tristan Gooley, How to Read Water. He's written other books. I'd say there's that Navigator one that I've got in my shop. There's one called The Walker's Guide to Outdoor Clues and Signs. I think he's going to be one that I'll definitely be looking out for future books of his. And a couple of films, North by Northwest and Kes, both kind of classics in a way. Couldn't be more different. Really, really enjoyed both of them. About time too. So I think, actually, Kes is the most modern at 1968, so that's 58 years ago. So I'm only 50 years out of date with my movie watching. Doesn't matter, does it? All right, lovelies, I need to get up and move around. It really is getting quite chilly, so I will see you all again before too long. Yeah, until then, happy reading, happy film watching, but more than that, happy getting outside. Yeah, I know it's winter and it's chilly, but you can come home, strip out of your wet stuff, get into Jimmy Jams, get under a blanket with a book, hot chocolate, whatever. But yeah, even though it's winter, if you can, do try to get out at least at least once a week. Get outside, and if you can, immerse yourself in nature. Even if it's a city park, just be out and observe. And yes, the trees, they've all lost their leaves, but look at the bark on the tree trunks while you're out on your walk. Enjoy the sight of pigeons fluffing themselves up to keep warm. Whatever it is, yeah, get outside, observe, be at one, refresh yourself, do your own mental health a world of good. All right, lovelies, until the next one, cheerio.